Hello, CSI Golden Eagles. Welcome to the 50th episode of the Knowledge Nest. And I have some news. This is going to be the first year, the last episode of the year that we have made these episodes. So next week's episode will be the first in a year of episodes, which is amazing. I'm very grateful that I was able to do this for the full year. The first episode that I ever recorded, if you recall, Welcome to the Knowledge Nest, I recorded that thinking that I could just make a podcast, of course, on my own. And then the marketing team very nicely came and said, now that you've done it, you can't stop doing it. You have to continue, which I obviously was going to continue. But they said, we have some specific rules. And one of them is, you've stopped this. You can't stop it. So I'm glad that I have had their support and Reba's support and all of you listening. I hope that I've been able to help you all with some information with each week that we talk about things. So I'm proud to say that barring the holiday weeks and the 1 week where we had some issues when I went to Nashville, there was no gap in episode releases. And so, yes, we're on week 50, but really I only missed 2 weeks because of, again, Christmas and Thanksgiving. So I'm glad again that I could come and help you guys know some information about the library. But we have not had the last of these episodes. Today I'm going to be talking about what is going to happen in the library, some databases, a book that I think is going to be interesting, and then we'll also talk about how important it is to connect college to your career after college. And then next week, we're going to be talking about privacy in the age of AI, mechanics of AI tools. On the 21st, we're going to be talking about Semantic Scholar, which is an AI-powered database search. So we're going to combine library science with generative AI and other versions of AI. We're going to be talking about many more tools and many more things in the months to come. So I hope that you all like this episode and that you all are going to share this episode with others, because I'm just very excited and very glad that we have been able to do this for an entire year. Just phenomenal. So what's going to be happening at the CSI Library in February? Well, the first and most important one is the Valentine's Day crafts. Stop by the library to make a Valentine's card or a decoration or what have you for your friend, yourself, a Valentine, a family member, all sorts of stuff. I always liked the notes and the little things that people do for each other more than the candygrams. You know, in high school and junior high, you had the candygrams, and that was kind of, I don't know, a little insincere to me. But when you take the time to make something for someone else and give it to them, that's when they know that you care about them. And so please come and make some crafts. We have all the supplies. It's going to be fantastic. The February book club pick is The Vanishing Half. And I'm going to read from the Goodreads review like I always do. This is by Britt Bennett. It says, the Vineyas twin sisters will always be identical, but after growing up together in a small southern black community and running away at the age of 16, it's not just the shape of their daily lives that is different as adults. It's everything. Their families, their communities, their racial identities. Many years later, one sister lives with her black daughter in the same southern town she once tried to escape. The other passes for white, and her white husband knows nothing of her past. Still, even separated by so many miles and just as many lies, the fates of the twins remain intertwined. What will happen to the next generation when their own daughters' storylines intersect? Weaving together multiple strands and generations of this family, from the deep south to California, from the 1950s to the 1990s, Britt Bennett produces a story that is at once a riveting emotional family story and a brilliant exploration of the American history of passing. Looking well beyond issues of race, The vanishing half considers the lasting influence of the past as it shapes a person's decisions, desires, and expectations, and explores some of the multiple reasons and realms in which people sometimes feel pulled to live as something other than their origins. And while many of us in the book club don't have these specific issues, but there are other ways in which groups can be marginalized: religions, ethnicities, social identities, sexuality, all sorts of different things that even though we don't have these issues, we can learn from this story and examine how living as something that you are not, or suppressing one part of yourself in public while living that in private, can be very difficult. And so that is in honor of Black History Month. February is Black History Month. Another major thing that kind of has happened all at once is the new seed library. This is Ross Sempex and one of our work studies, Celia Ann's special work. They have created a seed library. So first you go and borrow the seeds, then you grow them, harvest them, and then you return the seeds to the library so others can use them. And this is essentially, we're kind of creating an informal co-op, kind of a perpetual planting thing. So you don't even have to pay for these. You just borrow them with a understanding that you will share them once the harvest is complete. And so this is really, really cool. I am excited to see how this is going to turn out. Who knows? Maybe we could have a partnership with, Gilbert's Pantry or other things. We have a lot of people needing food, and this is just one way in which Ross has kind of taken the bull by the horns and said, this is a solution, and we're going to do this, and it looks really, really cool. So please use that if you can, and it's kind of going to be fantastic. A lot of things that are happening in this library, I know that they're happening, but I have no idea what the impact's going to be, and it's exciting to me. I have some presentations coming up, some that I did just last month about AI and data privacy and using AI in education and in the workplace. And obviously that's one of my emphases. Ross is all about sustainability, helping other people. Ali is about getting the word out and providing opportunities for people to engage with the library. Miranda is about making sure that those materials are cataloged successfully and also providing new opportunities to see materials. Don't see the graphic novels and the Spanish resources as simply materials that are in a larger collection. She put them in their own collections so that we can use them as graphic novels, as Spanish language resources, etc. So it's just a wonderful example of how teamwork, how a plan comes together, to quote the A-Team. Our next thing is the database spotlight, and I have this pulled up right here. If you click on this link, it'll ask you to sign in, and it'll take you to this database. You'll see that the logo is a little different. It says EBSCOhost instead of having the CSI library logo or the CSI logo, but it has the computer source database right here, and so you can search for keywords just like anything else you want to look at in the database and in EBSCO Discovery. It's really nice how they've created that streamlined view that's the same for everything. All you have to do is click on the source and you can select another database. So nearly 300 full-text journals and magazines covering topics such as computer science, programming, artificial intelligence, cybernetics, information systems, robotics, and software. So if you're interested in computer science and in the impact of computers on society, this is a really awesome resource. There's also Gale OneFile computer science databases, many other things. And then, of course, we have our current staff reads. I'm reading Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes. Disclosure, I've been reading it forever. It's a very dense book, but it's a very insightful book. I really like it. It helps me to understand kind of how people in the past interpreted what happened in their presence and how that informed what they did. for those of you who don't know, my bachelor's degree was in history, and so I love historical and interpretation, and this is a wonderful primary source on um, older aspects of English government and the thoughts that led to different social movements in Great Britain, but also in the Old World. And a lot of these things were taken from Great Britain to the early United States and used there. So, a really insightful book. Ali's reading Pride and Premeditation. Reba is reading Britney Spears' memoir. Ross is reading The Age of Surveillance Capitalism, which is a very interesting book. And then Mandy is reading another book. I think it's called Mooncakes, and I can't see exactly what the title is, but all of these look really interesting. So, some resources if you're looking for things. I wanted to show you if you click on that link, it will take you to this electronic resource for my book. But if you search for Leviathan, it will pull up electronic resources, a physical book, and other electronic resources. And then here you have a related work that was written in 2001, but it kind of interprets current nation states in the context of Leviathan. But I just wanted to show you there are different formats and different editions and different publishers. So be sure to check the metadata when you're looking for things. I have had several students who were looking for only in print resources, which are fine. But know also that there are electronic resources that cover the same information, but they're electronic. You should also know that open access reading sources exist, and a lot of those are online, and you can access those through Google and through other resources. And this is where connecting college to your career comes in. There are a lot of these databases that are helpful to you as you are a student, while you are a student at CSI. But a lot of these databases won't be available to you when you are gone from CSI. And that's where open access databases and open access materials come in. When you are in your field, whatever field you choose to be in, you will have to use the skills you've learned searching databases and searching for resources and interpreting information and etc. in your career, at your workplace. And so you'll have to find information resources that you don't have subscriptions to. You're not always going to have subscriptions to Gale or to EBSCOhost or to the ebooks or to automotive journals. And many of these things are going to be supplemented. You're going to have to supplement them or replace them with free resources. Justia for law, psychology has a lot of open access databases and journals. And so the skills that you use looking at databases and looking for information and engaging in information literacy practices will be what you will rely on when you leave CSI. And so I would encourage you to go to the Guide to Research. And instead of searching that, I'm going to go here again to the Guide to Research. And these modules, there are a lot of them, of course, that are about the CSI library, but there's going beyond the basics, learning about databases, learning about Boolean operators, text review, open access resources again. And here's a bibliography to show you how to cite in APA format. Copy these things. These are open access materials. You can copy this, paste it, use it in your own research. And so when you leave CSI, you'll still have access to this information. We're allowing you to have access to these things because we want you to have access to them after you leave CSI. You're not going to be able to come to this course after you leave, but you will want these resources and you will want this information. There are other resources. For instance, Meltwater has come up with, Cheyenne on Meltwater has come up with a massive Boolean library. And so you can search the internet for this information. But while you're at CSI, there is a guide to research and you should use it and it will help you prepare for your future career. Finally, there are a lot of students and educators and people in general who were concerned with the ongoing process of datafication of private data. And what datafication is the process whereby our actions, our tendencies, our lives are distilled into metadata and data, and then that data is sold to people or is acquired by people or things happen to it. And even if our private data is not compromised by these actions, general data and population trends and similarities between different populations are, and comparisons are made, and advertising and many other decisions are made based on this data. And so Routledge has essentially commissioned many different authors to write a series of articles and papers, case studies on learning to live with datafication. And this is a book that was published by Routledge. It's available on Kindle, on other things. But if you want to access it, we don't have it in our collections, but you can access it through interlibrary loan. It was recently published, but it's called Learning to Live with Datafication, Educational Case Studies and Initiatives from Across the World. So I want you to know that when I support certain AI practices or workflows or other things, that I support ethical use of AI, and I am very concerned about threats to data privacy and confidentiality that are posed by people who use AI irresponsibly, both including sensitive data in their prompts and in infringing on others' data through the use of AI when the subjects do not know that that is what is occurring. And so this is a book that may be helpful, especially in the context of education. So I hope that this has been an insightful episode, and I will see you next week here on the Knowledge Net.